Posted by you/acrobatic_donut4745. My ex and I have been divorced for 7 years. We have 3 children, Amy, 17F, Tom, 16M, and Ben, 14M. Our divorce was amicable, and we co-parent well for the most part. I am a non-observant Jew, and my ex is a non-practicing Catholic. We decided to teach our children to be decent people and allow them to decide what faith, if any, they wanted when they were old enough. My ex remarried 2 years ago, and they have a 6-month-old daughter. His wife is a devout Christian, non-denominational. Since she came into their lives, she has actively tried to convert them. I wouldn't have an issue if she were just inviting them to church, but she is constantly telling them that if they do not accept Christ as their savior, they will go to hell, as will I and my family. After this, my children refused to see their dad unless it was outside his home and without her. Their dad finally put his foot down and put an end to it. Now, onto the problem. My parents went to Poland a few months ago to visit family and took my children with them. While there, my dad took them to Auschwitz, and Ben was very moved. When he came home, he started attending temple with my father and has been working with his rabbi to prepare for his bar mitzvah. He is having a small party afterward at my parents' house. When his stepmother heard this, she really ramped up the crazy. She waited until my ex was not home, invited a bunch of people from her church over, and they ambushed Ben. They tried to lay hands on him to save him from the fires. My daughter physically intervened, called an Uber, and took her brothers home. My ex stopped by a couple of hours later and apologized profusely for what had happened. My son accepted his apology but stated that his stepmother was no longer welcome at his bar mitzvah or the party afterward. My ex got very upset by this and stated that this was disrespectful and that he could not go somewhere his wife was not welcome. My son said, "Well, I guess you're not invited either then." He then locked himself in his room. My ex, his parents, and his wife have all been texting and calling, berating me. When my parents found out what had happened, they stated that his wife was not welcome in their home, but they told my son that he should still allow his father to come. My ex is adamant that he will not come without his wife, and my son is adamant that his wife is not invited. I refuse to intervene on his wife's behalf, and my ex says I am being a jerk by not convincing my son otherwise. Edit. Just a few things for clarification. I'm trying to respond to all comments, but there are getting to be too many, so thank you, everyone, for your input. I plan on showing this to my ex. No, she wasn't like this when he married her. She went to church, but it wasn't until they got married that she became more involved. I was actually surprised that she was with him, knowing that he was not religious, but I figured opposites attract. In the beginning, she was great with our kids. They liked her and spent a lot of time with her. Her pushing my kids towards Christianity included little things like insisting they bow their heads for grace at mealtimes, buying them books by religious authors, not allowing what she deemed inappropriate movies, Harry Potter, anything with profanity, hanging up religious pictures, and putting up signs with Bible verses in the house, etc. Once she started with the "you're going to hell if you don't" nonsense, I got their dad involved, and it ended. At least for a while. Their dad is very supportive of our sons embracing Judaism. He is paying for private Hebrew lessons and has offered to send him to Israel the summer after high school, provided it is safe to go. My ex and I met our freshman year of college. We were together a few years before getting married and only got married because our first was on the way, and both of our sets of parents were very insistent that we do so. My parents especially were very big on the legal aspect of it for my protection. We separated after almost 20 years of being together because we had started to become unhappy together, and despite counseling, we could not resolve some of our differences. There was no infidelity or anything like that. We only got divorced when he met his current wife so that they could marry. We had no formal custody agreement in place. My parents have me seeing a lawyer next week to put some parameters into place and protect everyone involved. He promised that the kids don't have to be around his wife until they are ready to be. I asked, then, why is it a big deal that he doesn't want her at the ceremony and party? His response is that he wants the invitation extended, but he will make sure that she won't go. He says it's disrespectful and a snub not to invite her. I told him that that sounded like a big bunch of BS and that she was not going to be there no matter what. Op explains a bit more about her daughter who physically intervened in the meeting with the stepmom and her church friends. No, my daughter intervened before they touched him. She said she had a feeling something was going to happen because they came into the family room, where all 3 were watching TV, and got into a circle holding hands, praying out loud about all 3 of them. She said they were all frozen, staring at these people in a kind of WTF way, but then, when they let go of each other and started heading toward them, she grabbed her brother and pulled him out the front door. Update 5 days later. Sunday, my ex asked if I would be willing to come over and discuss what had happened. He said he felt there were some misunderstandings that needed to be resolved. I went, along with my daughter and oldest son, as they asked to go. Anyway, when I got there was another couple present, introduced to me as her pastor and his wife. I was immediately on guard. The stepmother stated that all she and her church group had wanted to do was pray for my children. She claimed that raising them with no religion had done them a great disservice and that I didn't understand the consequences of doing so. She said that since having her daughter, she had realized how horrible it would be to be separated in heaven from the people she loved more than anything in the world. I responded that I didn't believe that would happen, as I believed that if there was any type of afterlife, one of its perks would be being reunited with loved ones. She then stated that it would have to be this way because my children had not accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Then she started to cry. I gently suggested that she was still postpartum and that her heightened emotions and hormones might be clouding her perspective. That was obviously the wrong thing to say because she and my ex both became angry, accusing me of trying to make her out to be a crazy person. Her pastor quoted a few Bible verses and attempted to expand on what she had said. The whole time, my ex sat silently. I finally asked him what he thought about all this. He said that his wife meant well and was only concerned with our children's souls. I asked him when he had become so religious, as during our 20 years together, he had rarely stepped inside a church, except for a few weddings we had attended. He explained that having their daughter had made him realize how important choosing a faith was. I told him that our son had chosen, it just happened to be Judaism instead of Christianity. I also mentioned that, as I understood it, Judaism and Christianity worship the same God. The pastor then chimed in, stating that Jesus was the true Messiah and that Jews would be punished both in this life and the afterlife for denying that. At that point, my daughter stood up and said that this entire discussion was making her sick. My older son added that he was tired of dealing with his stepmother's BS and would never step foot in their home again. He said he had ignored a lot over the years because both I and his dad had encouraged him to be tolerant of others' beliefs. However, since nobody was being tolerant of his or his siblings' beliefs, he was done with their hypocrisy. He told his dad that he had no desire to talk to or see him or his wife for the foreseeable future. We then left. Today, I met with a family lawyer my parents found for me. He said that tomorrow, we will go to the courthouse to request a temporary restraining order and an emergency custody order. He is confident we will get both. He also had me go to the police department today to file a report with all 3 of my children about what happened last week. I feel so sick that it has come to this. I never wanted my children to be put in the middle of battling families. I realize now, as so many of you pointed out, that I underreacted. To be honest, this is the first time in my life I have ever dealt with anything like this. I grew up in an incredibly diverse community where everyone was tolerant of each other. When my ex and I were married, we returned to that community because we felt it was a fantastic place to raise children. So, that's where things stand. I want to thank everyone for their support and those who pointed out that I was being naive and trying to be kind about this. Second update 3.5 months later. Hello, I posted here a couple of months ago after my ex's wife staged a religious intervention when my son decided he wanted to embrace Judaism and be bar mitzvahed. The people who responded to that first post helped me see that I was underreacting, so I met with a lawyer to get a custody order, as we had previously just done our own thing. I now have full decision-making authority for our children's religious upbringing and full custody. My ex has visitation every other weekend. I have been incredibly flexible, letting him take them pretty much whenever he or the kids want. On his weekends, I stay with my parents, and he stays in the house. The only rule I made was that the stepmother is not to be around the kids at all, ever. My kids are very close with their paternal grandparents, who know that the stepmother is not to be around them. However, twice when I picked them up, she was there. The excuse was that she had just popped in quickly to drop off the baby. I asked them to let me know when they were babysitting so we could plan a different day, but they said it was a last-minute thing. Okay, fine. Now, they want the kids to visit for 5 days over Christmas break, not on the 24th or 25th, but I cannot trust that this woman will not come over. Ben still gets incredibly anxious around her. Yes, he is in therapy. My in-laws refuse to tell her she cannot come over because they claim they don't want to be put in the middle and that it's making them choose between their grands. I reached out to my ex, who said that since she isn't staying for long, he won't stop her. He also said that there's nothing in the order stating she can't be around and, as his wife and the mother of their sibling, there's no reason she should have to tiptoe around. He was incredibly dismissive, and I went nuclear on him. I told him that I've been letting him see the kids whenever he wants, despite his court-ordered 2 weekends a month, and that he married a sociopathic zealot. I warned that if she continued to come around, I would go back to court and ask for supervised visits and a restraining order against her. He hung up. Then I asked the kids what they wanted. Come to find out, the woman has been coming around a lot. Amy said their grandparents asked them not to say anything to avoid upsetting me. I told my daughter that as an adult, she can go, but her brothers would not be going. Ben's look of relief broke my heart. Amy said she feels weird when the stepmom shows up, and Tom said he's with Ben on this. I called my ex-mother-in-law and told her that the kids wouldn't be coming back until they chose to. I said the grandparents were welcome to visit them at my house. I also told her they were wrong to ask the kids to keep secrets from me. She called my ex, who berated me for punishing his parents. The stepmom then sent me a text saying I was being unfair. That is where things stand right now. Commenter. They have proven that they can't be trusted to protect your minor children, and as their custodial parent, you're doing what you must to keep them safe, period. This isn't a punishment, it's consequences, and people who are asking to spend time with children should absolutely know the difference. Quite frankly, anyone who asks a child to keep a secret from their parents, especially a secret that involves explicitly going against the boundaries set by the parent, is someone who shouldn't be spending time alone with that child. Ops response. Their defense was that they did not ask them to keep it a secret or lie, only not to mention it. I told my ex that they can see them at any time. We live less than 15 minutes away from them, so it's not like I'm cutting off all access to them. I really don't think they understand how much her attempt to save them affected them. Commenter. Are you 100% sure that the kids love their paternal grandparents and want to see them? Ops response. Yes, but not at their house anymore. Although they still want a relationship with them, the kids have noticeably pulled away since this whole incident, as they do not feel supported by them. Ben started making excuses and stopped going after the first time the stepmother showed up, and his grandparents made excuses for her and downplayed his discomfort. Now, my in-laws are digging in their heels and saying that my compromise, of them coming over to see the kids whenever they would like, is unreasonable. My ex-mother-in-law even made the mistake of calling my mother to try and intervene. My mother, who is one of the kindest, most forgiving people you will ever meet, told her that if it were up to her and my dad, who has had beef with them since they last minute didn't show up to Ben's bar mitzvah with no explanation, they wouldn't be seeing the children at all until they were able to admit they were wrong and apologize to all 3 children. My older son's birthday is coming up, and my daughter called them yesterday to invite them to the family dinner we are having for him. They said they are too uncomfortable to attend since my ex won't come without his wife but would be happy to have a second party at their house, which both she and my son refused. They just continue hammering nails into that coffin.